Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. I am just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How you doing today, bro?
I am pretty good. It's been a long week. So I'm glad to be here.
As am I. And yes, it has been a long week. Yeah, a lot of also a lot of things have happened both in the geek world and also in the personal world. So it's kind of been like a lot to think about on many different fronts.
Yeah, and the geek world has been bigger than ever because of Ryan Reynolds, which we will talk about it later on. But yeah,
Yes, we will.
he has definitely made it popular this last past week.
Hey, how you
You
doing, there, bro?
motherfuckers couldn't even wait for me.
I mean, we could have been 30 seconds late.
Just in time, bro. So, how was your week, T?
Not good, but we'll move on from that.
We'll move on that front. Yeah, I think that's going around. Like it's been a tough summer for us all, but at the same time, we all together. And as we mentioned last week, this is the Geeky Bros Podcast very last episode. We may come together in the future for like out of the theater reactions, maybe a specific topic. Who knows? But let's say that, as Darcy said to me off air, we're not going to be the CW show that just keeps going for 10 years. And just like limping on as things go down.
Yeah, I don't want to look like one of those like people that have been in high school for 14 years and just you're like, why do they have gray hair at this point? It's not the vibe.
All right. Well, so we have a packed agenda. So, bros, shall we dive in for one final time?
Absolutely, I'm game.
All right. So, as I'm sure many of you are aware, San Diego Comic-Con 2024 happened last weekend. And let's just say things were talked about, things were revealed. And I mean, okay, completely on a separate note, there was that whole horrible sex ring trafficking thing that got busted at San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, that was messed up.
This is news to 2 out of 3 people on the panel right now.
Yeah, your faces. I kind of held it on purpose because I wanted to see your faces. Yeah, apparently, like a bunch of people were involved with like underage and like sex trafficking at San Diego Comic Con. They all got busted, and like I think like 10 people got saved, including like a 12-year-old. So yeah, so that the press waited until after the weekend to let everyone know. But at the same time, that's messed up.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Like, not say this about the cosplay world, but I could totally see the environment being an opportunity for people. It's really sad.
If you want to put your mind towards it, yeah, you're right. Like there is an opportunity there, and that's sad.
Yeah.
But at least those people were arrested, those people were saved, and then we can talk about all the other stuff that came out. So the first thing was having to do with Captain America 4 or Captain America Brave New World. We have gotten a lot of reinforcements of basically we were given official standing on a lot of rumors and theories that people had about it. Also, at the same time, Harrison Ford definitely has been enjoying this press junket regarding this. So anyway, what we've learned about so far is that in Captain America Brave New World, and I think this was talked about before many times, the director is Julius Ona. He has stated that this is going to be a very grounded storyline, very similar to Winter Soldier. So they want to go back to the grounded aspects of this, which is funny because this is also going to be the film that talks about the celestial that's hanging out of the earth.
But I mean, that is also very grounded, as in it's been coming out of the ground for so damn long.
Yes, this has been a topic for a long time coming. I'm glad they're discussing it. We've also discovered that when the Celestial was killed, its entire body was turned into adamantium. So now that Deadpool 3, and we are going to talk about Deadpool 3 later, now that Deadpool 3 has happened and adamantium is now part of the MCU, they're going to introduce it to the MCU through the Celestial's body. So I'm assuming that the president, aka Harrison Ford, aka Red Hulk, who is like doing his Red Hulk impersonation in the photo on our screen for those of you watching on YouTube, it is meant as kind of like the focus is going to be the world's, I'm assuming, reacting to the Celestial. Finally, it actually has it's changed the dynamic of the security of the world, and also people trying to figure out who is going to get to mine it. We've now found out officially that Giancarlo Esposito has a completely different character than what we've been told multiple times. Again, in my opinion, waste of talent, but here we are. He's Sidewinder. Sidewinder is the leader of the, or I should say, king of the Serpent Society, which is a criminal organization from the comics that I have been like mildly aware of. I think like every comic book universe has some sort of like Serpent Secret Society villain thing. This is there. And so they are going to be led by Giancarlo. Apparently he's up for something and probably trying to assassinate Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford turns into Red Hulk while giving a speech in front of the White House. So those are kind of like the official stuff that we've been told about it. There have been rumors that what's his name? Mark Ruffalo might make an appearance. We don't know if it's going to be a cameo. We don't know if it's going to be a big thing.
Maybe it's a big fight off. Maybe.
Yeah. Because also we know that Tim Blake Nelson is going to come back as Samuel Stearns, aka the leader from Incredible Hulk, way back when. So to some degree, this is all going to be like, it's weird that this is a Captain America movie, but because aside from Sam, everything else is like Hulk related.
Yeah. And even we got Transformers in here with Sidewinder.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. When you said that, all I was thinking was, is that a Decepticon?
Yeah, exactly. So, my bros, what are your thoughts on all these new revelations regarding the upcoming Captain America 4 movie? T, let's start with you, bro. What do you think?
Excuse me. Honestly, I can't say that I'm super excited for this movie at present. I don't know. Actually, it was really interesting. I was treating a client today who surprised me in that she's like a super fan of all things like Marvel. And she's like, I don't know how old she is, but it just kind of caught me off guard. And so we got on this whole tangent of like talking about like X-Men 97 and Deadpool and whatnot. And she mentioned this new Captain America movie, and she was just like, yeah, like I'm like, she's like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm interested in this movie, but he's no Steve Rogers though. And then they actually say that in the trailer, ironically. So, and I kind of feel that way too, where it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to let go of Steve Rogers as Captain America yet. And granted, I did watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I enjoyed the series, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to give me what I want in terms of the next phase to come in terms of what's happening with Marvel right now. I feel like I'm kind of like on the fence of like wait and see. Like nothing in the trailer has really captivated me or made me like anxiously wanting to go rush out and see this. So yeah, and I agree with you. I feel like this is more centered around it being a Hulk movie, and if Mark Ruffalo is going to be making an appearance, then I guess it would make sense, because how else, like Sam ain't going to go toe to toe with Red Hulk. I'm sorry, that's going to be a quick fight if that's what they're trying to set up. Like that's just not going to happen. So yeah, it seems like they're going to kind of shoehorn the Hulk in there to kind of deal with that situation, because otherwise, yeah, Cap's gonna die. So
Steve couldn't even take the Red Hulk.
no. So yeah, I don't know how. Yeah.
I mean, they could put down a fight. It won't be one of strength. It'll be one of like using
Fly
your
away.
or like, just a lot of like smooth maneuvers to try to take him down, but not a lot of effectiveness.
I just see him like flying around him and like throwing the shield and like picking it back up every time and like just like doing that around. But like the Hulk is, but like Red Hulk has his intelligence. So like I think like Darcy, you brought up the fact that he's like a military, like he is a general. So like he's gonna know how to handle that.
Yeah, it's yeah, or at least be decent, like with Green Hulk at his dumbest, you might be able to wrap his legs up with something, and if you're like Batman, it's like it doesn't matter how strong you are if you can create a situation where you can't use your strength, but that's not gonna happen. So
what are your thoughts on like all these revelations, Darcy?
I feel like Marvel's telling their story out of order, and it's really affecting everything. So, like, this movie seems like there's a bunch of things that needed to be told in this film years ago, and I started thinking while you guys were talking, like, is a lot of the TV shows we watch, not just because of, like, their poor planning, because that's definitely a part of it, but is there also a layer of, like, there were things that they were going to talk about in every one of those properties that where it's based off of this movie setting up the foundation, and they had to cut so much that they just like end up killing the MCU in the process, and whatever they are setting up in this, like, it has to be massive, and you can't have told it earlier, and you had to do it with this character, but then you've like kind of screwed yourself by pushing everything out early. And I also kind of worry it's going to be like too little too late on like those important moments. I will say though that there's things in here that are intriguing for me. The fact that it does feel like there is going to be some element of Winter Soldier vibes, but Winter Soldier didn't have a Red Hulk, so that's not going to be the moment. That feels like Winter Soldier. That's all I'm saying. But there's elements that feel a little bit closer to that, and also seeing, I forget his name, but the original Captain America, not original Cap, but like the original, the Black Soldier.
Isaiah?
Isaiah had the serum in him.
Yeah.
Like seeing him and like, first off, what's going on? Because he seems like he just freaked out of nowhere in the trailer and like starting hurting fools. And like, was that a reaction to something someone said, or is he like being mind controlled? And
the way people have talked about it, they seem it's going to be like another situation like Bucky where he was triggered and he did something.
And because like the way he just moved, you're like, damn, like calm down, Gramps, you're gonna kill everybody. Like, like he's like, hey, Grandpa, but he ain't got Grandpa moves. Like he's out here. Normal people can't take that, so it was intense. I don't know. And I also think that there's going to be a good element of like race conversation in this that like that they kind of had in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think that there's going to be some layer of that because it's been a thread with his character, and I think they'll keep that. Yeah. But I'm just worried that there's going to be like too many things that they have to do at this point, where it's like, we gotta talk about the adamantium so we can get set up the X-Men. We gotta like talk about this Red Hulk. We gotta make it grounded. We gotta talk about like layer off the race dynamics from the show. And then you're like, okay, everything feels thin and weak. So I don't know.
What I'm worried about, so I'm already like, I'm not going to discuss it. I'm just going to point out the fact that there are some geopolitical casting aspects of this movie that make it difficult for me to go watch. Leaving that aside, if they lay off like the actual race aspect of the fact that they have a Black Captain America and like America's still not on board with it, I feel that's a completely lost opportunity given the situation. But at the same time, this thing has been through hell. Like the amount of reshoots and delays have been astonishing. So, you said it, Darcy, and I completely agree. I'm worried this movie is too little too late.
Yeah.
This reminds me of Black Widow. Like, now granted that movie was an enjoyable film, but it was so out of place of everything that we were watching and we're like, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
I still had a good time.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't a good time. I'm just saying that like while we're watching it, like I recall all of us were like, we all shared the feeling this should have happened a long time ago.
100%,
Like the emotional impact of it was completely dulled because of the fact that we know she's dead and her entire story arc ended. This is like a flashback episode, but as a film.
There's nothing like watching a show leading to a conclusion that you fully know, unless there's like revealing things along the way. You
Exactly.
know, it's funny. Like I was walking the dollar store the other day, and I came by the figurines for Young Jedi, and I'm like, that's just a depressing show all around because we all know where this ends, and it's not pretty. And I'm like, why are you gonna make a kid show for this? Because it ends with Anakin, and it's not a good scene. So,
oh my god.
Because that get to a point if the show's successful. I don't know if it's successful or not, but like it gets to a point where the kid's like, "Oh, I want one more season. I want more season." Like, we can't do one more season. The next season's not good. It's Game of Thrones.
Oh god, this is an animated series.
Yeah, it's like a digital animated, like very cartoony, like shows that are like Peppa Pig, like really meant for young kids, like not quite that young, but it's like really meant for like you're between 6 and 8 kind of range. So, and it's about young Jedi. It's like the show of like the Jedi in like when they're training and stuff like that in like the temple, like during the prequels. And I'm like, where does it end?
I say you end it early. You don't need to take that to the natural ending for that one.
Yeah, you don't need to. It's like all of a sudden these kids come out. It's like, Mommy, young Jedi, they're all dead. Not a good story.
Yeah. So Ron R is saying maybe just for a feel good film for Brave New World. I can kind of see that. Like the momentary, like I think the part of the trailer that had me interested the most is when, like Tactix brought up, like he said, you may be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers. And I remember like one person behind me when I saw that in the theater was like, oh, but then he goes back and he's like, you're right, I'm not. And that was one of the things that I actually liked about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like there were many things for me to like about that show, but like one of them, it was the fact that like they showed that like Falcon is a different type of Cap. He's the therapist.
Sorry.
Yeah, and he's also weak and flies, but he's got good core strength because he's got to hold himself stable while he's in the air.
I saw the capoeira.
Exactly.
But I like the fact that he is the healer. And that's where he's coming. Like he's the one who will talk it out. He's not he will throw down if he has to, but he will try to de-escalate. Yeah. That's a nice look.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they're going to read into that, but like.
So he's going to have a therapy session with the Red Hulk.
Maybe not with Red Hulk, but like definitely other parts of the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to see him talk out his way out of that situation. That's gonna be good.
I'll be like, I'll go get your daughter if you don't go back to normal.
Oh, because she's sorry. I just thought you meant he's going to like date her daughter or something. It's like, where are you going with that?
That would be hilarious because that would not help Red Hulk decrease his anger.
No,
it's like let's turn him like a purple Hulk. Anyway, so we shall see how this movie goes. But moving on to our next update, which is the Fantastic Four movie got an SDCC update. Now, Brianna's saying, why bring the Cap back anyway? Why just leave well enough alone? Just saying. I think they wanted to like capture like the new aspects of Captain America with Sam and also everything he represented from the comics. So I see what you mean, because like Tactix was even saying that it's hard to let Steve go because Chris Evans did a really good job and it ended on such a great note. But at the same time, you could say that there is a need to keep telling the story, but only if they tell it right.
Here's the thing. I'll jump on this real quick, is that I actually like the idea of bringing the Falcon Cap because, again, I've seen it in an animated show. I watched it for seasons, and I saw that transition, and I saw how well it played. But you have to tell the story timely to do it. And you can't drag it out like they're dragging it out for so long. One thing that makes it hard for us to let go is that you're not doing any setup. They should have had him show up in multiple different properties for a little bit here, a little bit there. They did some setup, and then they just left it alone for like 2 years. And it's like
4 years.
It's exactly my point. And so like it just, you don't feel like there's a cap. If this movie had come out in a different time, we probably would have felt the natural transition, and then the stuff he does next for other stuff that we're probably supposed to see him in that we can't do because they haven't done a setup. And so this drag out is what's killing it.
100% agree.
Yeah.
T?
I just don't think the world is ready to let go of of Chris Evans as Captain America. I mean, look at what they're doing with Wolverine right now. Man's going to be clearly playing him until he's 90, right? So I think this is going to come out. People are going to be like, yeah, he was good, but we really just want Chris Evans back. And then Chris Evans is going to come back. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. Not as the same character, but
we get into that.
We're going to get into that, yeah.
I mean, Chris Evans already has come back. He came back last
week.
But the thing
serious
is, though,
misdirect.
I feel like people don't want, like, yes, people want the old Cap, that that one. But I feel like if they played this right and setting up this character, it would feel like a new iteration and its own thing. Like, yeah, they can keep calling Captain America, but I honestly would have like moved even the name slightly differently, like over a couple of films and properties. Like, you make that a slight adjustment, so it's like, okay, it's not exactly the same character, and you set it up, and then you get this feeling like there's this Cap, and then there's the blah blah blah, whatever we call it, Cap, right? And then we have this like feeling, this divide. It's just, they're doing such a crap job with it that like hopefully this film like really changes our vibe on that. But it's just like they're setting themselves up for failure.
The momentum has been lost, and I hear you. Like, maybe this can restart the momentum, and hopefully we can like look back on this episode and be like, what we didn't know. But I don't think it's going to be that way. But we shall see.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to Fantastic Four. Now, Fantastic Four has been given an official name. It's called the Fantastic Four First Steps. It's directed by Matt Shakman, who has done a lot of TV series. But the most prominent one for the MCU was he directed, I think, all the episodes of WandaVision. So he's got some MCU background for it. Now, at SDCC, the cast, which is obviously Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm / Invisible Woman, Joseph Quinn, who we all know from Stranger Things and or the most recent A Quiet Place, is playing Johnny Storm, Human Torch, and we have the Bears, and also for me, and or I think it's called, I don't know how to pronounce the name, so hopefully I won't get in trouble for this. Ebon Moss Bachrock.
I guarantee you did not pronounce that right.
I'm pretty sure I got that entirely wrong, like from beginning to end. But
I'm sure there was not that many pauses phonetically.
He has one hyphen. I put 7. But anyway, so Joseph Quinn and Vanessa Kirby respectively have said, we're all going to work very hard to bring a feeling of family to this film. I don't think I've laughed so much in a rehearsal period before. Personally, like, these are pretty small details that we gotten from Fantastic Four. However, and also they apparently released some sort of like early like teaser trailer. I tried to see it, but to be fair, the people who were like videoing it on their phones were definitely trying to like hide the fact that they had a phone out. So unfortunately, I couldn't really see anything, nor could I hear anything. So all I have to say is that from what I've seen about the cast and their interactions, they are definitely very comfortable with each other. They're definitely bringing like the whole family fun aspect to it. The only thing we know about the story is that it's going to be set in the 60s.
Isn't it like a futuristic 60s though?
Yeah, it's going to be like a like, I'm going to be honest, it kind of what it reminds me of is from Batman the Animated Series, where it was like back in time, but at the same time they had like future tech for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to have that vibe. And we have learned recently that the whole Doctor Doom announcement, which we're going to talk about very shortly, is also going to be at least a cameo in this film, which makes sense because Doctor Doom is the Fantastic Four's villain. He then became a much bigger deal. If I'm not mistaken, they're planning on doing like a post-credit scene with him. So I'm interested to see, because Galactus is meant to be the main villain in this because Silver Surfer's in this. So therefore, we're going to have that aspect, and then it's going to transition also to Doctor Doom. We also know that John Malkovich is going to be in the movie, but we don't know in what role. So based off this information, and also your own interest in Fantastic Four, whatever history you have with the Fantastic Four, I actually am very curious. What is the temperature in terms of your interest for this upcoming film? Darcy, let's start with you, man.
Overall temperature is meh. It's in the bucket of everything MCU right now. The retro futurism though intrigues me from the perspective of like, is it gonna feel like the Jetsons? Because I'm kind of curious if it would it feel like the Jetsons? Because that'd be kind of cool. Like, I just visually be kind of cool to see like a live action. Because I don't know, when I was young, I feel like some Fantastic Four properties also felt like the Jetsons. In a way, like, just there's something about the era and the timing and the visuals.
I mean, they had the flying cars, so
yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jetsons was just literally like taking from Fantastic Four, but trying to make it into like the Flintstones type topic, because like it just felt like they were related, and they're not at all. But one thing that's intrigued me about this is I've been seeing the interviews with Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal, and
love Pedro.
Yeah, I think Vanessa does too. Like, her energy around him is like, she's got the daddy thirst.
So it's interesting because this has come up a lot on Instagram and TikTok. Like, everyone was saying, is like, yo, she's got like last week for her, she's in a relationship with someone. And everyone's like, are they playing this up like to kind of like have like the chemistry for Sue Storm, Reed Richards, or she like out like just went to San Diego Comic-Con and like straight up started cheating?
Yeah, like her energy is like, she's either that's how good of an actor you are, or you're just a very flirtatious person, or yeah, your other relationship's ending. Just because her energy is like I'm like, it's intriguing because it's like, at minimum, if she's just like very like kind of complimentary, slightly flirtatious type personality, the chemistry's gonna be real. Like, it's gonna look really good on camera, whatever that chemistry is, because they're gonna play well. And all in all, like, this is a very strong cast of actors.
Yes.
Like, you know, the let's say the weakest one of the bunch, you know, is hard to debate on, and they're not weak.
You know, I was actually trying to see, I'm like, who is the weakest link? Like, the only one I can maybe go with is Joseph Quinn, but that's only because he's had the most limited experience.
And that's kind of what I was going after, right? And it was like, but he's a standout character in the show with very little screen time, and everyone loved him. And so I'm saying, it's like, everyone here has got some real talent, and you know, I'm intrigued, but it's still Marvel, and they are not hitting. They are not hitting. For years now, they have been swinging and missing. Minus two things, one of which we're going to talk about today. Yeah, the only time they win is when there's a very important creator behind it who's very passionate about the specific thing that they're making. Otherwise, when it feels like it's the Marvel machine putting it together, yeah, thing come out like an easy bake oven. Like, it's just not that good.
Actually, an easy bake oven would fit with this decor of this movie. So T, I have no knowledge of what you think of the Fantastic Four. So like, I am very interested to see what are your thoughts on this.
I actually don't think about the Fantastic Four, to be honest, because
Ever?
I don't have. I mean, okay, so my knowledge is very limited in terms of them as a whole, outside of what I've seen from like the old movies, right? And you know me, I'm not a comic book reader, so I wasn't really well versed in the storyline or the comics or whatever. I'm familiar with the characters enough based off of the movies, but outside of that, and obviously we know how those movies ended up, right? So they didn't really leave a good taste in anyone's mouth, especially the last one that they just did years ago. So with that being said, my temperature is piss warm. I was saying.
but that's kind of warm.
Actually, that's true.
It's warm because I'm still curious, because it is a pretty outstanding cast, I would say. I'm having a hard time coming to terms with Pedro Pascal being Reed Richards. I don't yet see it. So I need to kind of see him in costume and see how he kind of pulls off the character to really be sold on it. Look-wise, I'm just having a hard time conceptualizing it in that regard. But obviously, he's a massive talent. He's pretty much bodied everything he's been in the last several years. So there's no doubt in my mind that he can pull it off. So yeah, I have a vote of confidence in that regard. I just have a hard time visually, from a visual perspective, seeing it. But I love the rest of the cast. I'm not familiar with the guy's body of work who's going to be playing the Thing. I know you guys mentioned he's from what, the Bear?
The Bear, yeah. Like like I would say like the Bear is kind of like what made everyone, and I mean literally everyone, know that he's a fantastic actor. He has been in a few other things. I noticed him pronouncedly in Andor, and then people were like, dude, like he was nothing compared to what he is in the Bear. I'm like, oh shit. I watched the Bear, I'm like, holy shit, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check out the Bear, actually, because I'm hearing a lot of really great things, and it's now starting to pop up in my Instagram algorithm. So I'm like, okay, I should probably check this show out. I've seen a couple scenes with the guy in it, so yeah. But yeah, I'm somewhat looking forward to it. I can't say I'm over the moon excited to see it. Especially with no trailer yet, no context. The whole it being taking place in the 60s is kind of like a little off-putting for me. But again, this is just me judging prematurely without actually seeing a trailer. So I can't really harp on that too much. But overall, am I going to check it out? Yes. The only thing, so actually two things I wanted to mention in regards to the Vanessa Kirby and the Pedro Pascal thing. So I've heard two things. I've heard there have been rumors, and I don't know if they're true. This is just what I've heard, that Pedro Pascal is either bisexual or he's gay, or he's very ambiguous with like his sexuality kind of thing. So that could be the reason why their bond is so close. The other thing I heard was that he suffers from really bad anxiety. And so Vanessa Kirby, because they've been, they've been playing like opposite of each other in a romantic way. She's kind of been his comfort during these press junkets. So there's one
why they were holding hands.
Yeah, there's one scene where he he's like touching her back, and then she like grabs his hand and then holds it tightly. But it kind of if you look at it again, it kind of almost looks like he is kind of a little bit anxious, and he's just like, oh, this is a little overwhelming. And he's like, it wasn't like a suggestive, like, hey, like I'm touching you, I'm caressing you. It was more so kind of like help, like almost like a cry for help in a way. And
interesting.
So that could be where all of that is coming from. Or they just want to fuck each other. I don't know. It could be any of those.
I got such on like this like really positive mental train, and you just damn, left turn.
I felt so bad. I'm like, oh man, I'm like reading into shit, and like I'm like reading gossip and like rumors, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, they want to fuck. I'm like, there it is.
No, I could totally see him being a very anxious individual, and her being a very nurturing and what's the word for like
Supportive.
people that are very, very, yeah, but like they're also very tactile in their support, like very touch oriented and
affectionate.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so like her support could come in a very affectionate manner towards him, and yeah, she's like, really like acting like a partner because they're playing partners,
Yeah.
and so she's like naturally assuming a role, which that bond would naturally create great chemistry if they actually have that chemistry between the two of them, and so there could just be a whole layer there because we've seen even some other actors, I can't think of who off the top of my head, but that have that kind of thing where like somebody
Chris
deals
Evans,
with something.
he has anxiety too.
Yeah, and then like other actors around them will have certain interactions and be like a certain way, like not Chris Evans, Thor, Hemsworth, yeah, like I'm not saying anxiety for him, but he's the kind of person where I've seen him interact with other people, and you can see him being very like fatherly or big brotherly to other people, and can see how the dynamics are affecting people, and he's just very comfortable, so he just like steps in and does things and communicates and interjects and puts people at ease and just takes over with his bigness and so I could see her like playing a version of that in her own manner.
Yeah.
Sorry, one thing I want to say just to finish off my point, or an additional point is, and I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this, but I kind of wish, given what you said about the potential end credit scene, Umar, I kind of wish that the whole Doctor Doom reveal was reserved for that rather than them revealing it at Comic-Con. And I know that's probably not a possibility because it's like hard to keep that under wraps. Because when is this movie being released? Or
Fantastic Four?
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
It's going to be next year, so 2025.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. So I know it's hard to keep things under wraps now considering the digital age that we live in, and everything gets leaked like 5 minutes after it's been released, kind of thing. So, but that's kind of part of the thing that I miss about watching movies back in the day, where it's like you didn't have YouTube, so like to watch a trailer, you actually had to go and see a particular movie and get on that hype wagon kind of thing, and then get the reveals that way. Or if you rented a movie from Blockbuster, and that was the only way that you could see like the next movie that was coming out or something like that, you know what I mean? But now it's like we're so bombarded and inundated with all this like material that it kind of ruins the essence of the element of surprise almost, so yeah.
I have a question though. What if the Doctor Doom that gets revealed in the end credits is a different actor?
All right, so we'll get to that in part of the discussion, because like that's definitely going to be a thing. Before we move on to our next topic, because we're all itching to talk about it, I just want to have some of our comments. So Brianna says that it would definitely help with anxiety. This is, I think, going back to the holding of hands things. If someone you trust holds your hand when you feel anxious, it meant to help out. And then also Ron R said back up there, I definitely don't have any expectations regarding Fantastic Four, but that may be a good thing. Maybe it will be good, and then it'll be a nice surprise. If not, then at least no disappointments. LOL. I gotta say, those are facts.
Yeah,
I'd
agree.
Yeah. I think we're all in that camp with Ron R there.
Yeah. And finally, Ron R just posted, yes, the trailers are the best part of going to the movie theaters.
I agree 100%.
I know.
Oh, yeah, and also I forgot that Pedro Pascal was in season 4, episode 1 of Buffy. Actually, that episode saved him from him being like destitute.
From being what?
He got royals for that episode, and that basically kept him going and allowed him to actually like not be living on the street.
Got you. New word. I got to write that down. Destitute.
Yes.
Destitute. Okay, I'm gonna remember that.
All right. Moving on to our next topic. which is one of the big topics, and we got a lot this trip. So, in last weekend at San Diego Comic-Con, we were given big news. The news being that that the Russo brothers have returned to MCU. They are going to be doing Avengers 5 and Avengers 6. The movies are called Avengers Doomsday, which is going to be clearly focused on Doctor Doom. And then also this is going to lead directly into Avengers Secret Wars, and they're going to be literally, I think, like minus 1 day. They're going to be exactly a year apart. Like one is like May 6th, 2026. The next one's May 7th, 2027. So yeah. But that's not the biggest news that this panel had. And nor was it the most controversial. Like I would say this has been generally welcomed. There have been a few people who've been saying this move from Marvel feels like a desperate attempt to go back to recapture their glory days. Others have said we would have liked to had other directors take over, but we're happy to get them back. I will just point out that yes, it would have been nice for other directors to direct these films. Thing is, we had other directors and they all left.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that if they had to find someone, that they found the Russo brothers, who have literally given us the best MCU films in MCU. Mm-hmm. But yes,
or at least like 3 of the top 5. You know what I'm saying?
4 of the top 5.
Exactly. Right. Like,
yeah.
Like of all the ones, put it this way, of all the MCU films, there's a certain number of films that we all love, and they have at least half of them.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So this is all one could say, the preface or the precursor of what the main news is. The main news being we have given, and as Tactix brought up, a revelation of who Doomsday was or is going to be. And it is our very own Robert Downey Jr. He revealed himself on stage and said basically, new mask, new task. So I feel that is all I really need to announce on this. Let's just jump right into the discussion portion of this. How do my bros feel about this? Because I'm pretty sure you can tell that I have mixed feelings. So T, you were the last one to talk about it. Let's start with you. You were talking about the revelation. Uh-huh. Oh shit. Ron, you didn't know. Yes, Robert Downey Jr. is
shit.
Yeah, Ron, this was revealed on last weekend. It has, let's just say that
Hold up.
Yeah.
Geeky Bros exclusive.
This is why it's our last show.
Yeah. Drop the mic. We out.
So, we don't know anything. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chris. Yes, the correction was new mask, same task. My apologies. I messed that up. Thank you, Chris. Brianna's right. You keeping me honest. So, with the revelation of Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, we don't have any other significant information about this. Is he a variant? Is he from another universe? All that sort of stuff. The fact that he is going to have, as Tactix points out, and to be honest, if this is real, if this is going to happen, I would have preferred this revelation to happen in Fantastic Four post-credit scene and not on stage. Yeah. That I feel was them desperately trying to get butts into seats.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's why I kind of agree with people online and also my friends saying that a lot of what Marvel is doing feels like executives panicking and making drastic reactions to like reinstill confidence in the public. So anyway, let's start the discussion now. T, let's start with you, Ben. What are your thoughts on RDJ being cast as Dr. Victor Von Doom?
So this definitely caught me off guard. I was not expecting Robert Downey Jr. to be behind the mask. So I was like, wait, what is happening? Do I like it? Yes, sorta. Is it desperate? 100% yes. 100% yes. It is hella desperate. They've been backed into a corner ever since this Jonathan Majors thing happened, and I understand. I don't know if I condone the move, but I understand why they're doing it, because Marvel is in shambles. Deadpool said it best, but like Marvel is hurting right now, and
take the L.
People have lost faith in these movies, and I feel like the only way that they feel they can redeem themselves is to return back to form in some regard. And let's be honest, like RDJ single-handedly, I mean, he obviously had help, but he carried the Marvel franchise on his shoulders, and like he basically not restored it, because like, I mean, it kind of started with him, but he was the head honcho of,
he kept it going.
He kept it going. He was running the show the entire time, right? So, you know, they were probably backed into a corner with the whole Jonathan Majors fiasco, and not only that, but people initially weren't really rocking with Kang. I mean, I for one was not rocking with Kang. I was just kind of, oh, okay, he's all right. And then he got bodied by Ant-Man. Yeah, and then he got bodied by Ant-Man. And granted, you can make the argument saying that was a weaker version of Kang, and there was going to be a stronger Kang to come in the future. But I don't know. It left a lackluster feeling in everybody with everybody, and so I don't think it hit hard enough. So regardless of whether Jonathan Majors had his whole legal battles or whatnot, I don't know if people would be as excited for the Kang Dynasty direction that they were going in. And so now they're just kind of in this position where they have to course correct. And what better way to do that than to bring back the guy who carried us through the previous phases, to bring it home again. And let's be real, this is going to be an easy check for him, because, you know, he barely has to show his face in any of this stuff. Not nearly as much as he did in Iron Man, because they had the whole HUD thing with Jarvis and everything, and so he had to show his face for that and do the motion cap for that and stuff. But this is going to be a breeze for him. So it's like, I'm sure the negotiation for this was like nothing.
So what the revelations are, yes, you're right. Kang has been completely scrapped. Like, that has been officially stated. And also Jonathan Majors has gone on record by saying that he's heartbroken by this happened, but at the same time, he loves RDJ, and he's like looking forward to see Doom. Second thing is, we were told that the Russo brothers were given $80 million to come back.
Oh, I believe
it. And RDJ apparently got significantly more than them to come back.
And they ain't gonna say the number.
Oh
no, but they said that it's well over 100 mil, and this is also as Disney is doing layoffs.
100% they're gonna throw a bunch of money at the two most successful people to put Marvel. Like, Marvel was already in a good place, and to put it even more over the edge, of course they're gonna easily throw money at it in a time of crisis, which is what they're in right now, right? It's just crazy to me that, like, and we're obviously going to get into this, but like, Robert Downey Jr. is returning for a second time. A certain black undead person has returned for a second time. And yet my man Mahershala Ali is still unemployed. He's probably sitting at home like, yo, what? Why are all these guys getting rehired for jobs and I can't even get one?
Yeah, RDJ out here like this right now.
Yeah. He's like, I'm taking all the jobs.
I'm gonna keep all these brothers unemployed. Well, I have to get all the money, all of it. Okay, I gotta jump in here. Okay,
jump in, Darcy. What are your thoughts?
So, good for the Russo brothers, $40 million apiece. But I'm not pleased with this over 100 mil for RDJ, because you know why? It's gonna have, and this is gonna sound really bad, and you're gonna have to hold on for a quick second while I say this, but it's gonna have the Dwayne the Rock Johnson energy happening in the film. It's gonna happen, and you're like, okay, I know you over here going, what? Right now. But here, listen to me, okay?
No, I'm interested. Where are you going with this one?
I'm not saying he's gonna act at that skill level. That's not what I'm saying. What
Okay.
I'm saying is, now you're gonna have one of the most expensive films of all time, or the set of films, right? It depends how they spread it out, right? They obviously don't go and say here's 110 mil. You can take the cash right now. They're gonna spread it out, right? They're gonna pay it based off of like certain things he does and acts and whatnot, spread out. But how many movies are we planning to have him in? Right, one cameo,
potentially three or
one
4.
cameo, and then 3 to 4. Okay, so like let's just say it's like a total of 4. You know, let's just say it's 120 divided by 4, right? So 30 mil a movie, right? What's the impact that this is gonna have on the budget? And my problem is that like the best films we've been getting are on lower budgets, and I'm not saying people shouldn't be paid, but when they're taking absorbent amounts of the budget, I honestly feel like it changes the quality significantly. I can't think of like these two things happening at the same time when people talk about them, where it's like this guy got this giant check up front, and that's also one of the best movies I've ever seen. Now I'm not saying that people aren't making good money on the back end, as in like they're making a percentage on the movie themselves, and they're highly invested in it, and they're also taking a big risk themselves, and then to do a certain thing. But I don't know, it just worries me. And I know he's good, and I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just worried there's going to be a lot of money on the budgets of these films, and most of it's going to be going. We got like, let's say 20 mil to this director. We got 30 mil to RDJ. We got another like 50 mil on all these other actors. And then by the time we even start production, we're already like 150 mil into this movie, and we haven't even started anything else, right? Like it's just I don't know. It gets me worried that it's going to be more of the same, because we're not investing in the creative. We're investing in people to sell seats. And then that's why I go. It's like The Rock, you know. He brings bums to seats, but he's not bringing quality. He's just attaching himself to a bunch of things where he can get a big paycheck.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm just going to quickly go to our comments. So Chris Tardy says, "I doubt this would happen, but imagine if Avengers Doomsday starts with Doctor Doom single-handedly killing all the Kangs in one swoop. That would be pretty fucked up." And then Ron R says, "I also feel like nothing against the actors we love and like to see again, but there are so many talented people out there. Why not give others a chance?" So I say honestly with Ron R is that hits home for me, because like for me, okay, I love Robert Downey Jr. I respect him. I also respect him as an actor. I saw him in Oppenheimer, and he played the least like himself I've ever seen him in any film. I've also heard that he's been doing other films where in other series where he's been playing multiple different types of characters. I believe he has the capability to pull off Victor Von Doom. That's not in question. What bothers me about this is there were other actors who very similar to what Ron R is saying, that are talented, that are capable, that also are new and could have used this brunt. They would have been cheaper, but at the same time, I could see an executive being like, "Oh no, we can't risk anything now. We risk everything with Kang. Let's not risk anything with Doctor Doom." But at the same time, like one of the main things people were concerned, like wanted from Doctor Doom, because he is such a dynamic character in the comics and in the animated series. He is so versatile. You can use him as an anti-hero, as a villain, even as a kind of like weird heroic aspect. Nonetheless, there were other actors you could have played, and there's actually a growing number of people online saying, why didn't they just get a Romani actor? I have a hard time arguing those points arguing against those points because they all have very valid statements. And yes, MCU is floundering. Yes, it makes sense the way Tactix is saying that, of course, the execs are going to go with a safe bet. And there are rumors that RDJ, kind of like what Ron R was saying, maybe they're trying to throw everyone off. There are rumors that he is actually meant to be like one type, basically Iron Man turned into Doomsday, and then he will actually lead us to the real Doomsday who will be going forward on. There are many things like that. We don't know right now, and I am willing to, like we've said, the Russo brothers haven't failed us. In fact, in many ways, the Russo brothers have elevated our expectation of what quality MCU should be. So I'm gonna trust them on this one. But at the same time, I do wish there was another actor who was cast. Not that RDJ can't do it, but this doesn't feel inspired. This doesn't feel like they're going anywhere. Fine, you could say that executives gave, well, actually, I don't know if you can say this, but they've been swinging for the fences. They're not really, like, I would say mediocre is kind of the trend of the MCU. I kind of wish this was something a little bit more dynamic and exciting and new, but I also am not against it. And no, Brianna, no Jensen Ackles. We've had enough of him. He's already gotten a Soldier Boy TV series.
I mean, we've all, honestly, like, we all wish that it was a different actor, even though we all love RDJ. But
yes,
put yourself in the executive's shoes and just look at Marvel's track record. You said it yourself that, you know, they've swung for the fences and everything has been mediocre. And they've had, like, not even just mediocre. They've had some hits, but also, like, you know, like some of their movies were, or at least one of their movies was met by unfortunate circumstances, like the passing of Chadwick Boseman, right? So they really had to scrounger around and, like, try to, like, course correct everything in that regard. And
they did a pretty good job, in my opinion.
They did a great job, but again, it wasn't what their original plan was, and so they had to deviate from what was initially set up. And then on top of that, you look at the Eternals, right, where that was very divisive amongst fans, right, and that was a very experimental, you know, attempt at something new, right, and it didn't quite work. It wasn't very well received. And then, you know, you look at the Marvel TV shows, and those were very divisive amongst people and stuff like that. So, and then on top of that, you have the Jonathan Majors situation where they went for not a very well-known actor. They took a risk on Jonathan Majors, and look how that turned out. So it's like,
man can't
RDJ. What's that?
Said man can't date the right people.
Yeah. So, you know, RDJ is not the best bet, but he's the safest.
Which is ironic given the fact that when hired, he was uninsurable.
Yeah, but he paid his dues though.
Yeah, so people have been bringing up the fact that, like, Jonathan Majors gets, like, arrested and mostly let off. RDJ completely convicted of all the things and gets like an entire franchise. I don't think those are two comparable situations. For one thing, RDJ had also, like, that was before he even got hired, and for the entire time he was at MCU, he didn't cause waves.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Majors is a bizarre situation, but that has more to do with the American legal system than it does with the MCU execs.
Yeah, but he's become a liability because of it.
But yeah,
exactly.
And their reactions to it, though.
Yeah,
the executive's reaction.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your comments, Ronar. We really appreciate you coming out for our final show. To your point, Tactix, Phase 4 of the MCU definitely has had a ratio imbalance.
Thanks for finally admitting that.
I have always said,
to our side.
I have always said that there have been misses, but at the same time, we're used to, let's say, like 4-1, good to bad.
I don't care about these ratios. Everyone be like, oh, the ratio this. All I know is I feel like overall, for a period of time, I have been bored.
That's what I've been saying, bro.
Like,
and you fought me on it for like 2 years.
I brought up evidence.
You can put all the logic out that you want, but if I'm bored, I'm gonna stop spending my dollars.
The TV series were the problem. The movies weren't. That was my main point. But now, then Thor Love and Thunder came out, and that kind of threw off the whole dynamic.
Okay,
Whatever, man.
Okay.
I was right. I brought that.
Yeah. You're using the same logic that Boeing's using at this point, right? It's like some of these planes got to go down, but overall the planes are flying. They're not flying well, but they're flying. It's like, okay, like,
they get to their point.
you can paint this picture all like a politician all you want. Go to the theater by yourself.
All right, but in terms of, I would have preferred for the revelation to happen in movie. Having it done beforehand feels like a way to bring people in, and it feels like a cheap move.
It's because they spent $120 million and they're like, we need to start earning on this, guaranteed. we spending this money. I bet you they had a completely different actor in mind, and the executives were like, we need this to work. We're bringing Robert Downey Jr. and we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna spend this much money. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe the Russo brothers had the plan.
No, Darcy, you're 100% accurate, given everything we have seen.
It's just, I don't know. I feel like there were options. and they were all taken away.
Yeah. Again, I am going to put my trust in the Russo brothers. They have not failed me yet in the MCU, I should say. When it comes to other movies outside of the MCU, I mean, I enjoyed The Gray Man, but I did not like Citadel. So I'm going to put my trust in them. And we'll see what they do. I'm going to see what they're going to, because if I'm being honest, there are stories in the comics that are very good that they can pull from that would reinforce this Iron Man being Dr. Doom sort of thing. So, like, especially in the Ultimate series, my cousin brought up the fact that Jonathan Hickman basically invented a situation where this situation can do it. And I am a big fan of Jonathan Hickman's writing. So it can be done. I believe, given the people involved, it will be, and I'm putting my faith in it. I just wish it had been handled differently and a different actor. But at the same time, I'm cautiously optimistic.
What was that show that we don't want to talk about anymore from Marvel that involved a bunch of Skrulls?
Secret Invasion.
Yeah, was that based on good source material? Was the source material for that good?
Hold up.
Answer my question wholesale. Was the source material for that good source material?
Yes. But the people who did that were new to MCU and also had said that they did not read or watch anything, did not read the source material or watch things prior to.
They must have worked at Netflix. Got it. They came straight off The Witcher. They were like, we're qualified.
I mean, facts. I will give Russo brothers a chance.
Fair. They did do what they're doing.
Yes. Moving on to our second last topic, which is going to be a full review, spoilers involved, of the Deadpool and the Wolverine film. We all got to watch it on Tuesday, and we are going to talk the hell out of it. And we're also going to get, so my bros, what I'm looking for you to hear is, since this is an MCU property and given everything we just talked about, how did you guys enjoy the film? Does it feel like a MCU being returned to form? And what would you give it out of 10? and then we'll talk about the cameos afterwards. So, bro, what are your thoughts?
Sorry, what were the questions? So what did I give it out of 10?
No. So what would you give it out of 10?
Yeah.
What did you like? How much did you like the film? And do you believe that this is MCU rebounding?
Gotcha. That was the one I wanted to cover first. So, do I feel like this is a return to form for the MCU? It's hard to say because this is unlike any MCU movie that we've got. So, I don't quite know if I could compare the two. It's very different. Obviously, it's a rated R movie. But yeah, I mean, if all the MCU movies were like this, and I don't mean they need to necessarily like deliver on this level of like humor per se, but I mean the action was obviously on point. They had okay, so let me take a step back and first let me just talk about the bad, the good, and then the overall. I'll give my rating, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, not many bad things about this movie personally.
Okay.
There's a few people online who have been saying that like the plot isn't the plot is kind of flat. And while I would have to agree with this, if you watch the first 2 Deadpool movies, who the fuck is watching this for the plot? At this point, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yes,
so it's like,
I agree.
So yes, of course the plot is, and if we're going to compare the plot of all 3, this one is probably the weakest of the 3, I would say. But it doesn't necessarily make it bad for me because I was entertained throughout this entire film. There was never a dull moment in this movie. I was either, if I wasn't laughing, then I was entertained by the fighting. If I wasn't entertained by the fighting, I was entertained by the amazing cameos. So yeah, I understand people complaining about the flat plot. Didn't really bother me, but I understand it. The only thing that's like a very small nitpick of mine, like by a dick hair, is the Wolverine. Okay, so I'm glad you have it on screen. So the mask is dope, and we've been waiting for this ever since we saw a post-credit scene from the Wolverine, where he's gifted the entire suit, and when he pulls the mask over his head during that moment, it did give me chills. The only gripe I had was the eyes. The eyes didn't really sell it. They didn't really sell it for me. It just looked a little out of place. It works for Deadpool, it works for Spider-Man, but for some reason, just the eyes were a little bit bothersome for me. But everything else about the mask I loved. So yeah, that's like the only nitpick, and a regret of mine that has no impact on my opinion regarding the movie. But I noticed this when we watched it on Tuesday, and I'm sure Darcy will probably share my sentiment, is that I remember when I watched Endgame, and I think I watched it opening day, or at least in the same week that it came out.
Same week.
And the experience of the entire crowd sharing in those highlighted moments of, like, you know, obviously we have, like, you know, Avengers Assemble, or like Cap picking up the hammer and whatnot, and like everyone going crazy. It's almost like if you're like a sports fanatic and like your team is winning at like a big World Cup or something like that, and like everyone is like immersed in that energy together. I missed that. And because we watched it like a week after it came out, like I felt like our theater wasn't really as lively and as energetic. Like I felt like our row was the loudest one in that theater because of how amazing we found all the scenes. So that's the only thing I missed, but it doesn't take away from the movie at all. I was just like, I wish that would have like been part of the experience. But in terms of what I love about the film, Deadpool, I mean, he delivers on all cylinders. I love that, like, the intro is probably one of the most memorable scenes of the movie. I mean, there's a lot of memorable scenes, but like that,
you were laughing your ass off during that dance sequence.
Honestly, that lives rent free in my mind right now. Like that was like one of the best scenes for me. I also love the.
Do you know that they renamed their music video on YouTube by saying the Deadpool and Wolverine song?
Oh no way! That's
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. That is amazing.
And also very, very accurate way to get a lot of people to watch it and get those.
100%.
Yeah. The humor was on point. Deadpool didn't miss a beat. Ryan Reynolds, like even just watching his interviews, like as Ryan Reynolds, like the man is so quick-witted. It's insane. Like, and I feel like he was like obviously he was born to play this role, and like I like much like with Wolverine and like who else? Maybe I can't think of anyone. Well, yeah, Hugh Jackman. Like much like him, I can't see anyone else playing
Xavier?
The role. Well, I mean, we've already had like someone else play Professor Xavier.
But would you say that Patrick Stewart like embodied that role?
Yeah, 100%. But I was coming around to McAvoy, you know, maybe if he was a little bit more seasoned, I could be like, okay, yeah, I could see him pull it off. But anyway, yeah, love that. The humor was on point. The cameos were great. This is obviously we said it's spoilers. So
Oh, okay, good. I realized I just took the photo down because I was like, oh, we didn't announce spoilers, and I realized
no, we did.
No, we did.
Okay.
He did.
I'm gonna put the photos back up.
Yeah. Okay. So so we have the Henry Cavill as Wolverine. That was crazy. We have the comic accurate. That was not a cameo, but the comic accurate Wolverine, where he's like what 5'3",
5'3".
Yeah, that was great. The Blade one, unfortunately, was spoiled for me because I accidentally watched a video of Wesley Snipes talking about it, and I thought I was like immersed in the interview, and because I thought he was talking about something in relation to the upcoming Blade movie, and then when he said, "Oh yeah," and we never liked each other, but then like Ryan said, he gave me the idea, and I was like, I don't know how you're gonna pull it off, and I'm like, oh fuck, they're talking about Deadpool, so he's. So that was kind of ruined for me. But then I'm glad the other one wasn't ruined for me because I knew Elektra was going to be in it because they had made an announcement. About that. So that didn't catch me off guard. And they revealed X-23 in the other trailer, so that got ruined. But Gambit, played by Channing Tatum, and for those who know, you know, he was supposed to play Gambit in his own solo movie. I think actually he was supposed to be in X-Men Legends. But then scheduling conflicts couldn't make that happen. So he was going to be given his own movie. And then that obviously fell through. So the fact that they brought him back in. And I mean, Channing Tatum has been surprising everyone because he just keeps popping up in like these random movies and like doing these hilarious, like memorable roles. And you're just like, yo, this guy's actually like super talented, man. Like I want to see him in more stuff. So hated the costume. The costume just, you know, obviously looked cheap and like he bought it at like Party City or something like that. But,
it looks CGI'd on him.
Yeah, 100%. But I love the whole dynamic. It's like, yo, who's your dialect coach? Like the whole banter between.
Read the quote on this picture, if you can.
For those of you who are on Spotify, we have a picture on there where basically Channing Tatum, they're impersonating how bad his pronunciation of a New Orleans accent was. That like. It is so it looks like gibberish with at the end saying Mosher Gambit.
He's honestly one of my favorite things. So it's like there was even like a phrase he threw in there that was like an Ebonics phrase in the middle of what he was saying, and I was like, what? Why is that in there? Like he's just saying stuff, making it up as you go, and sticking to whatever accent comes out of your mouth in that moment.
Yeah, a lot of great moments in this. Obviously.
What would you give it out of 10?
I would say 9.5 for me. 9.5,
really?
100%. This was a 9.5. And not for the story, just for. And I was telling this to Darcy after we left the theater, where it was like, I'm basing this solely on rewatchability, like how eager I'd be willing to go and watch this again. And this is definitely something that I could sit through and watch again, because Darcy, well, I'll let Darcy kind of explain, but I shared in his sentiment about like you have to watch sometimes movies like this you have to watch 3 times because there's certain things that you miss because you're either laughing too hard or you're so immersed in the action or whatever. So I totally agree because there's certain lines that I missed. Like I missed the Will Smith line in the beginning because I was laughing so hard at that scene.
There was a Will Smith line?
Yeah, it was like keep my country's name out of your mouth or something like that. Yeah, so I almost missed that.
At this point, it's been used so much, I've forgotten. Like when people say it, it doesn't click for me that like they're talking about Will Smith. But I was just more enamored with the fact that he actually bounced the blade into the guy's mouth.
Yeah, that was cool. Last thing I'll say, because I don't want to take up too much time, but Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine, especially this iteration of the character, was absolutely fantastic. I loved how, again, and they told us this from the beginning when they first announced that they were doing this, that they weren't going to soil the legend or the reputation of Logan. And I mean, I feel like they still did. But
they did
the best
they're like, we're gonna soil it, we're gonna cheapen it, but at the same time, it's not gonna take away from the movie.
That was a bold face line. We're not gonna desecrate. And they literally pick up his bones and use them as weapons.
Yeah,
that's a desecration if there ever was. And they specifically
100%.
said Logan and that movie. Specifically, and they opened the movie by going to the end of that movie.
I loved it though. I loved it. That scene
amazing.
Was fantastic. But like Hugh Jackman, especially in the scene in the car right before they have the fight, and he just berates Deadpool, and Deadpool just like, I'm gonna fight you now. And like that whole but that whole performance by Hugh Jackman, it was just like what like. We've always seen him physically angry, but like that level of emotion that he brought to that particular scene, it gave me chills. That was fantastic. And I just love what they did with the character in general in terms of like him getting more animalistic with the crawling during the fight. And it was crazy, man. So yeah, honestly, 9.5, man. Not for story, but just for like sheer entertainment.
Okay. Before we go to Darcy, I'm just going to read some of the comments that we got right now. So STV Bear says, I liked it a lot, but I did think some of the plots were not connecting for me, but that's fine because the movie was still fire. Jimmy Chung says, plot-wise, it was the weakest of the 3. With that said, people don't go to Carnival for the plot.
Yeah.
100%. Brianna was saying, I enjoyed it and want to see it again. And Jimmy then followed up one more time by saying, I don't know how accurate this is, but in regards to Gambit, but supposed Cajun people in the comment sections have said that Channing's dialect was on point, ? If true, interesting.
I feel like I've heard some people who have an accent similar to that, but his accent was definitely sliding on a scale throughout.
I think that was deliberate though, because it added to the humor. You know what I mean?
It was so leaned in, and I honestly feel like it was like Channing Tatum had practiced in the past and then prepared for the character, but then nothing happened, and he had that in his back pocket. And I bet at one point he probably had a conversation with Ryan. And he's like, "No, don't get a dialogue coach. Just do what you can remember."
100%.
It's so much more funny. And Channing Tatum is a guy who is not bothered by putting himself out there, because if you've seen the movie like This Is the End or whatever it's called, where he literally comes out as somebody's like dog on a chain, in a sex slave with like no clothes on. You're like, oh, it's Channing Tatum, and they're like, okay, they're just gonna say it's Channing Tatum, we're gonna leave a mask on it, and we're never gonna see who he is. And you're like, no, it's Channing Tatum. And when you see that, you're like, this guy is not bothered. Like the minion joke, I bet they clearly filmed it where it's like they show Deadpool and they show him. It's like there's no way they could have filmed a wide angle, because Channing Tatum would have been on the floor. And you'd be like, wow, that's so good.
So Darce, now your review. So like, do you feel this is Marvel coming back? What did you like? How much did you enjoy the film, and what would you give it out of 10?
Is this Marvel coming back? Hell no! Hell no! This is not a representation of Marvel. This is a representation. First off, this is a love letter to was it a Fox?
Hello, Emma.
Oh, Hi, Emma. It was Fox Spotlight, right? This is more of a love letter to them, a 20th Century
Yeah, the
Fox,
Fox
right?
universe.
And second of all, no, because this to me is the same thing as James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's like, is that a return of form of MCU? He left and he's running DC, like, so no. And this is a representation of creators who have a love and a passion for what they're creating. And Ryan Reynolds has a love and a deep passion for Deadpool,
Yes.
and clearly fought behind the scenes to make this film the way that it is. And what this is a testament of is that it didn't change from the second film to the third film, in that it was able to keep what we love about Deadpool. Because this film could have come out just like every other Wolverine, where we're like wanted more, but we had that PG rating and they couldn't show enough veracity. They couldn't show enough this. Like, cut the swearing. There's stuff that he didn't hear. If you didn't swear in those scenes, it would scare children, right? Like at least in a happy-go-lucky film. Of course, in our theater, there was 2 kids who showed up at the very beginning. And they were like clearly 8 years younger than they're supposed to be for this rated R film. And I was talking to one of the people with us, and I was like, I hope that there's like a random like inappropriate scene that their dad's gonna have to have a conversation with them about later, just for like the fact they shouldn't have been there. But so is this a return of form of Marvel? No, this is not a representation of Marvel's ability. The only thing this is a representation of is that they let him do it and they didn't stop him from doing it. But I think that they knew that if they stopped him, they wouldn't make any money. Which, specifically on that note, they are
before you say anything,
yes, Emma,
yes,
abort
Emma.
now, abort.
Yeah, Emma, we've already been spoiling, so like, as much as we hate to lose you as a viewer, we go stuff.
Yeah.
Go on, Darcy.
Save this episode. Come back later. So, all right. Well, this spoiler, if she sees it, is not that big of a deal. So this film, as of Wednesday, this is the last updated stats on Box Office Mojo, is at 590 million. And I was watching John Campea talk about this. He absolutely believes that this film is going to join the $1 billion club.
100%.
And for being a rated R film, for being one of the highest grossing, like just films in general, but like also like in the superhero genre, massive. This is massive.
So I just checked Wikipedia. 630 million is the most recent update.
What was the last film that they had? What did it come in as? I forget.
Sorry, Jimmy Stewart. Bruce Willis was a ghost the entire time.
And I jizzed in my pants.
Oh, I couldn't understand. That was the spoiler. Got it now. I'm a little slow.
No, so anyway, so so it's definitely making bank, and being a rated R film, that is surprising.
Yeah, and so did I love this film? Did I enjoy this film? How do I generally feel about this film? This has been in my mind all week, like, or since the film. I've been seeing TikToks of people thinking, like, literally quoting, like, I'm gonna make a name for myself, and like on all kinds of random stuff. I saw a TikTok. The guy's like, he's like sitting down on the toilet. He's like, I'm gonna make a name for myself, like right here, right? Like, this film has so many things that I love about it. I'm gonna stick with Tactix on this. This is a 9.5 on the pure strength of its rewatchability. It was funny after this film. When I was talking to Tactix, we came out. On the same day that we watched this, I was actually with my niece, and she likes like scary films, and so we were flipping through Netflix, and I was like, have you seen Get Out? And she's like, no. So I got her to watch it, and then I was like, stopped her at a certain point. It was like breaking down to her, like after she passed like the plot twist, like how there's multiple layers, and then like and I was sure, it was like with the Cheerio scene, and I was explaining to her, I'm like, how she's separating the colors of the Cheerios, and she's like, oh my goodness. And so like and then I'm like, when you rewatch this film, it's a whole separate movie because you have a different perspective now that you know the plot twist. Every scene is like a lie. Everything that they're doing is like a lie. And that was the reference I made for this film. Not that it's the same content or structure, but it's that there's so much that you can watch this whole film for purely the action. You can watch this film for purely the comedy. But you watch this film for purely the Easter eggs. And there's just a lot of layers to it, and so it's really
so many layers. Like the cameos and the references are, I like. I'm not even sure I caught them all.
exactly. And on top of that, like this movie also had so many references, but one thing it did, like it had it had their version of James Gunn's like Wonder fight in the in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where they had the fight, had to get through the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
Where they fought the Deadpools in this one.
Yeah.
And I was like watching that scene, I was like, in the very first few seconds, I was like, I'm gonna have to rewatch this, because I like to be, in general, when I see big action fight scenes, I like to like see it all, like know all the beats, like know all the little like fights, like, oh, this person got cut here, this person got cut there, like can I see it all? And there was so much happening, I was like, yeah, I have to rewatch this, especially since it's so many Deadpools. I was struggling to see like, where is Deadpool in the fight? I'm like, Wolverine was very clear, but like, and there's just like so many little nuancy things. Like I was watching like the floating Deadpool skull, and I'm like trying to see what
Nathan
he's
Fillion.
doing, right? And it's, yeah, Nathan Fillion.
Did you know that Matthew McConaughey played the cowboy Deadpool?
Yeah, because you told us. Well, you told me.
Yeah, I also love the fact that his wife, can't think of her name right now,
Blake
Lively?
Blake Lively and his children were in playing Deadpools too. Like the one that cusses him out at the very beginning was like one of his kids. I'm like,
that's his daughter.
It's like so perfect. He's like, and they're like, yeah, she's like a troublemaker or whatever, or I'm the troublemaker, and I'm like, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. And there was just so many good lines in this, like going back to Elektra, where it's like he's like, oh, sorry about Daredevil. It's like, that's okay.
Or
I'm like
Tex,
you got
the proposal.
Like, he
he's like, what the fuck? Do you think that's what I do?
or I love it. He's like, the guy's like all shut up. He's like, wait, what do you mean you don't have regeneration? Like the one Deadpool without regeneration, and he like pulls him out in the middle of the shooting, and then stands there. He's like, you're going to make it. He's like, you're making it worse. You're literally using him as a shield and not even trying to move. And then
he's like, why are we stopping? He's like, oh man, I'm so tired.
You were like 80% the way there. He's like, I'm gonna stop right here.
I couldn't stop myself laughing. Is when Wolverine walks out with the dog and everyone just stopped, and he just slowly like walks.
That was so well played, because they all love the dog and respect the dog, and it's like he like knew it. It's like, yeah, this it's also going like to like a John Wick type thing too, where it's like nobody kills the dog. Like there were so many things in this that were like layered, like, and let's go back to Cap, as we were talking about earlier, like the Chris Evans
man, that got
scene.
me.
When he said flame on, like, so I went to opening night with like everybody. When he said flame on, everyone was like, oh, because he showed up and everyone was like, oh, Cap's here, and then he went flame on, everyone was like, oh.
Yeah, it was so good. And then I also loved at the end where it's like everyone kept saying like Daredevil, like, so when they met like Professor Xavier's like twin,
Cassandra Nova.
Yeah, thank you, Cassandra Nova. And so he says all this stuff that Deadpool says all this stuff that Johnny Storm had said. And he's like, I didn't say that. And even like Wolverine's like blaming him for getting him killed. And then they go to the post credit and you find out he said
so good.
all of that stuff. And it was so good. All I could say after that, I turned to you, Umar, and I was like, he's definitely separating himself from Cap. Like,
yeah,
like he's definitely saying like, yeah, I'm not for the kids anymore. Like I'm gonna do my own thing. So yeah, there's just.
Oh, we lost Darcy.
Oh, I mean, it's perfect for our last show. We actually get to capture a frozen moment too. And he's back. Okay.
Hopefully I'm good. I just like found out that I was frozen. Am I all right?
Yes,
you're good.
So like seeing him feral, seeing him like, you know, do literally the ground and pound type fight style, to see like not holding back, the actual brutality, to see them go hand in hand, the brutality, like it was just fantastic. And it's absolutely like, if like, you know, one of the niece and nephew are like, yo, I want to go see this movie. Not that they're old enough to see it, but I want to go see this movie. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go rewatch it. Yeah, let's do it. So,
Yeah.
9.5, loved it. Cameo's amazing, fight's amazing, absolutely hilarious. My jaw hurts thinking about it, and it is not a return for form for MCU, not at all.
Okay. So for me, I would say I agree. It's not a return to form for MCU because this is like unlike MCU films because it was, as you say, honoring the Fox universe. In terms of me enjoying it, I had a great time. This is a fun film. You cannot not like. The only way you would not enjoy this film is if you're the religious right that walked out after first 15 minutes because you found them calling it Marvel Jesus offensive. Yeah, it's not for you. For other people who don't like action comedies, this is also not for you. For those of you who have never watched an MCU film and went to go see this is like the worst film for you to watch. Or sorry, if you've never watched a superhero film before, this is like the worst movie for you to watch because like half the movie is like referencing other movies. So you're not going to get a lot of the jokes. You're going to be sitting there like, what? So what? Soundtrack? Fantastic.
Yeah.
For me, I would say, okay. As someone, Chris Starr is like, I subscribe to the Church of Marvel Jesus.
MJ for short.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome, Chris. For me, I would say that the weak storyline and the weak use of the villain Cassandra Nova hurt me personally, but not enough. The fact that this plot was like a thin thread that just kept all the cameos together, at least it kept the cameos together. Like I didn't go for like the plot, but the fact that the plot and the villain were kind of like just throwaways, it kind of hurt.
At least Cassandra Nova, they showed the powers like better than
yes,
a lot of other things do.
Yeah, I thought they overpowered her, but I went back and checked. I'm like, no. She is that powerful. So like, okay, that was my bad. The cameos, I know you guys loved it. I loved it too. But for me, the comic book cameos were fucking on point. Like, Jesus Christ, when they were going through the different universes and finding the different like Wolverines. First of all, the fact that we now have two people who have played Wolverine, aka Henry Cavill, who did just long enough so he could do like his like reload fist punch thing with the claws. Hilarious. The fact that they had the Weapon X from Age of Apocalypse. Yeah, because that's how he
catch that.
He went ka-ching, ka-ching, and then he punched him, and like everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!"
See, I gotta go rewatch this film. There's just so many things you guys like. You're laughing in the moment, you're enjoying it, and you're just not seeing it. Like,
yeah,
go on.
Yeah, I don't worry, Darcy. I missed that too. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I missed it the first time around.
I just can't get over this though. Right here on this picture, I cannot get over the short hue.
So many people have said they put this in there to finally put to rest because people have been saying he's too tall, he's too tall, he's too tall, he's too tall. They're like, okay, they put him in. It's like, oh, and it's like, so shut up now. But oh my god, when they showed like the Hulk and like Wolverine in the brown costume from Incredible Hulk and also the cover from Incredible Hulk, oh my god, I geekasmed when they had
that brown costume.
Looks dope.
I was actually a little mad that wasn't the one they used for the movie.
It looks fan-fucking-tastic. I was like,
like the main one was good, but I kind of wish they reversed it and they used the main one as the reference one, and then they used that one for the whole film because it was really good.
It was beautiful, Darce, and also like
he classic, man.
That was pure classic, and like the thing is, it was gorgeous, and I didn't think it would look as good as it did. And the fact that they had him posed like they did in the comic book cover, chef's kiss. Patch, 2 seconds, perfect 2 seconds. Chris Starr is with me. I'd be down for an MCU Wolverine has the brown and yellow suit. We know it can be done. We know it can be done right. So 100% agree with that. The Age of Apocalypse. Patch was when he had the eye patch when he was wearing the white suit.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was like 2 seconds, but amazing. Age of Apocalypse. I have always wanted to see. I never thought they would do it. The fact that they did it for like 2 seconds, awesome. And then also you actually did the cover of Uncanny X-Men
Oh,
when
yeah,
Wolverine from Forever Dream storyline, when you have Wolverine just up there like that in front of the skulls. Awesome. That was a dark story. And then also you have Old Man Logan, like proper Old Man Logan, which was ironic because we had Logan, which was kind of based off Old Man Logan, but everyone was like, it's like in name only. Like they didn't do anything. They got him in for this one, and he looked fucking great. So, like as a comic book fan, loved it. As someone who wanted so much more for like the 2000s to 2008 film, the 1999s to 2008 films or 2005 films of superhero Marvel properties and superhero films, they brought things back to forward, like X-Men, Fantastic Four, Blade. Now, honestly, the only one thing I was upset about is that they didn't have a sword. Leaving that aside, they got everything else right. And I mean, the fact that Ryan Reynolds even says, like, yeah, but you never really liked me. It's like, I don't like you. It's like, you never did. I'm like,
I didn't catch that reference until I saw the clip after the movie, because I was like, oh yeah, he was in the Blade films. Like, and I was thinking with this, Ryan Reynolds has been in like every superhero thing since like
at some point,
yeah, like not in a big way, but he's like cameoed in everything. He was in Blade, he was like Green Lantern, he's been multiple Deadpools. Like, wasn't he like a couple other superheroes or something?
He was he did that other movie. I think it's a Marvel, or maybe it's DC. The RDJ or something, like where he's like
RPGD or something like that. Where he's like a ghost, sort of thing.
He said in an interview while he was beside Hugh Jackman, he's like the movie that like killed the studio and like lost them all the money, because it like apparently actually like killed the studio. Like it was so lacking in money that it was like it was bad.
Chris is like, a comic size Wolverine was jokes, great to see. And Maybot, good to have you, Maybot, for our last show. The sword is in another movie, LOL. It makes no sense for him to like have the movie there. I like the sword. I wanted the sword back, but at the same time, he had his like that shuriken, and anyway, Channing Tatum was one of the many people who stole the show for a portion of time. Darcy, you called it. Yeah. I love seeing X-23 back. It was great seeing her like doing her thing. Cassandra Nova did the actress, like Emma. I like Emma Corrin. Like, she's a great actress. I wish she had more meatier role, but at the same time, she did a good job. It was good to see Hunter B come back from Loki. I was actually wondering why she was in there. Paradox was hilarious. He's just like, basically they were making fun of execs from like both Fox and also Disney, and he was like the personification of all the execs they're making fun of. The amount of people who have stated that, and you know the type of people when I bring this up, that they were saying it online. They've said, this is what you guys have been missing when you guys have like proper, basically proper actors with leading a film, which is essentially saying when you have two white guys in front of the film, that's when the movie is good. I'm like, guys, did you miss all the gay undertones? Because like, if you want to look into it, the two lead actors got into a Honda Odyssey, and just penetrated each other through an entire scene.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's out of line, but he's right.
Perfectly used, team. Perfectly used. But anyway, so I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I love laughing in this film. I'm going to watch it. Like, I watched it a second time with you guys. I'm going for a third time, and I'm not even sad about it. Like, I'm like, yo, I want to go one more time. Because, like, I will agree, the crowd wasn't as loud as the first time I went. However, the crowd was responding when we went, and it was a packed theater.
That's what she said. Just let it marinate. There's a lot.
I see where I went wrong. There's a lot. Well caught, Darcy. Well caught. Okay. Anyway, I would give this movie a very happy 7.5 out of 10 from a critical perspective. Hold on. I said from a critical perspective. From a fan
what does that mean?
If I'm looking at it critically, it's a 7.5 film. But if I'm looking at it for fun, this is a 9 out of 10 for me. And for rewatchability, it's a 9.5 for me as well.
Yeah, this is why we don't trust Rotten Tomatoes, because people like you.
I gave different ratings.
We didn't need that first rating, bro. We did not need that first rating. You could have left that shit out.
Like,
man. If 4 years running, you know I'm going to come forth with the critics.
What's this variance? Like, I just can't. The swing is too far. I don't understand.
Okay, I want to ask. So Emma, if you want to like turn up your volume, you can come back now. Maybe it's like I'm shocked that from a critical perspective, it's a 7.5. You expect it to be higher or lower? I'm interested, May. All right, let me ask you two. Which MCU film made you laugh the most?
Oh, let's see here.
That's also for the audience as well. What MCU film made you laugh the most?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
He said, "Made you laugh, not laugh at it."
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah,
that's right. Maybe on my side. Yes.
I actually did laugh a lot at Thor: Love and Thunder, though. Like when I was watching it, and then
I did too. It hurt me more and more as I thought about it.
Yeah, I would rather watch two sloths consummate their love than to watch that ever again.
That'd be a slow experience.
Yeah, exactly my point.
It's like which wins, the paint dry or the sloths?
I will say that I think it's for me it's a even between the first Guardians of the Galaxy and this movie.
The first Guardians of the Galaxy and this
Guardians of the Galaxy was a better story, but if we're just focusing on laughs, I would have to say it would be this one and that one. Like they're kind of neck and neck.
I wouldn't say they were neck and neck for me. I agree that they're in the same camp, they're in the same conversation, but I felt like I laughed a lot more at this one because Guardians of the Galaxy had to still pull their punches, right? Because it wasn't they couldn't take it all the way there. Whereas this one, like, you know, this was not only was this funny from like a crude humor perspective, but it also was very meta, which added to the humor.
But Guardians of the Galaxy was far more wittier, and also the circumstances were sometimes as ridiculous.
I'd say the circumstances were wittier, but Ryan Reynolds is king of wit, and he was on point the entire time, man. So I don't know. I don't know if I can give it to Guardians of the Galaxy on that one.
Okay, but like, would you say that then that this one is your funniest?
This one, yeah, 100% hands down.
All right, Darce.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Marvels.
Don't be mean.
Sorry, I got confused too. I thought we were laughing at the film, not with it.
I'm protective of the Marvels because it's got Iman, and they didn't have a fair chance.
I agree. She didn't have a fair chance. The rest of them had a fair chance. She didn't have a fair chance. That's how I feel. I am protective of Iman as well. Everything else to me is trash in that film. She's like the best part of that film by a mile. No, it's Deadpool 3. Like it's for everything that Tactix said, and I like, you know, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy, like just the whole trilogy. I love it. But like the guy literally said, "Who's your dialect coach?" The Minions. Like that line alone is amazing. like you just don't know that that's coming. Especially, I'm like, you're also wondering, like, is there any problem with that? Like legally, like you really got. It's like who owns that franchise? DreamWorks. It's like, yeah, it's Disney's competitor. Like this film is amazing, and like Guardians of the Galaxy. How do I put this? Like from a funny perspective, Guardians of the Galaxy is a really funny film. This is a comedy. Like this is a real comedy. Yeah, like
I would argue that Guardians of the Galaxy is also classified as a comedy.
Yeah, I know it's comedic, but what I mean is like James Gunn does an amazing job of trying to tell a story with a purpose, and
Yes.
have an ensemble of people that are really funny throughout the process of it. So it's absolutely, yes, a comedy, but back when we were younger, we haven't seen that many good real comedy films, right? Where you just got a
Like
bunch
Scary
of people.
Movie style.
Yeah, well, not that. I mean, like just all these classics where we would just be like on the floor laughing about a few people, like Hangover or something, right? Where it's just like
Right.
it's just like we can't believe what they're doing, and it's just making us guttural laugh, right?
Right.
And this film just has more guttural laughs. Like my cheeks hurt, I can't breathe, and I'm missing the scene because I'm still laughing with the last scene. How dare you roll so quickly into the next scene? But that's good because I'm gonna come back and watch it again, right? Guardians of the Galaxy has time between their hits, right? Because it's a film. It's more of a film. Like it's more on the plot execution stuff that we were, some people complaining about, right? Like, well, that movie has that, right? And so it's a more complete film in that perspective, on a critical perspective for those who have a 2.5 variance swing on their rating systems, whatever. So, but this film is really just meant to make you like enjoy yourself, laugh your ass off, and just be a great ride. And so this is the funny film. And I keep saying this, and we have this stupid picture up here.
I know, but I just like
it in alignment at all.
All right. So, well, nonetheless, I hope the people in the comment section write down what MCU film made them laugh the hardest. And moving on to our final topic of well, not just the evening, but of the podcast. So, I am going to give a spoiler-free initial review of the Batman Caped Crusader animated series. It just got released on Amazon, I think, like yesterday. It's 10 episodes, half hour each. It's from the creative minds of the people who created the Batman animated series back in the day, Bruce Timm, but it's also got the person who's in charge of the Elseworld version of Batman, aka Matt Reeves, as well as the person who's kind of been doing a dips in a bit of everything. His name is currently blanking on me right now, and I'm trying to remember it while also looking it up. J.J. Abrams, thank you. So J.J. Abrams is also an executive producer. So it has a lot of talent behind it. So I'm going to try to pitch you guys what my thoughts are on this show in 1 minute. So I will say that Batman Caped Crusader is a decent, good first season for an ongoing series. I like the storytelling. The characterizations, some in a positive way, others in a questionable way, but nothing was like, okay, that's just stupid. They're like, at worst, you're kind of like, I guess. Honestly, for me, the worst thing about this is the animation. The animation is hard for me. It feels very stiff and simplistic, and also the CGI inclusions don't coalesce very well. The voice acting isn't bad. I thought that the new voice actor Hamish Linklater as Batman Bruce Wayne would be terrible. He's not. I mean, you can't help but compare to Kevin Conroy, but he's not. The voice acting in general is decent. It's just not great. So I would just say that it's a 7 out of 10 for me.
Nice. That was about 1 minute. So, Tactix, are you sufficiently sold on watching the show?
I mean, it's hard because he gave Deadpool a critical 7.5 out of 10. So I don't.
You're not going to be laughing in this show, man.
Yeah,
you're not going to be laughing at this one.
I just don't know how your rating system works, man. I'm a little low key hurt by that rating system that you gave Deadpool, like, I can't trust you with shit.
I have a question for you. It's like, if a woman comes to you and says, "How's my outfit look?" You're like, "Well, on a critical perspective, I'm gonna give it a 3-point differential."
Let me put it this way: if it's my woman, I'm going to be telling her whatever she needs. If it's someone else, I'll be critical as fuck.
Bad answer. Bad answer.
That's wow. Yeah, I'm babe. You went 9, but critically speaking,
Oh, I'm not saying I'll give it her a critical rating. I'm giving other people critical ratings.
yeah. So I give you a 9, but I've heard from the grapevine the people giving you a 6.5 out here. That's all I'm
Why
saying.
have you heard that? Like I said, I'll be giving other people a critical like. So if another woman asks me a question, I'll be like, "You're a 4."
I know. We just trying to find ways to see
Get
how
me
this
trouble.
rating system applies to the rest of the world.
But, okay, so going back to the Batman Caped Crusader for 1 second, I will say it is really hard to be objective on this show. There are so many references to the old animated series that it's next to impossible to not nostalgically bring your ego into it and be like, no, this is not how you're supposed to do it. No, he's not as good as the other person. No, the animation is bad. The storytelling is bad. It's like, no, it's not. Like, objectively speaking, it's actually a decent first season that clearly has a budget issue. But it, like, since it has so many elements from the previous animated series, and also we have seen so many DC animated films and shows before that, like, this is not a bad addition, but it's like the animation and some of the storytelling is not, like, I would say actually the storytelling is its strong suit. The characterizations, for example, Harvey Dent is like a sleazy asshole, like rich guy type. He's not like the shining knight who like falls down by being super righteous. Harley Quinn I enjoyed. Batman actually, Bruce Wayne is quite elitist against Alfred, which was a shock to me. But again, it's not terrible. Barbara Gordon is a defense lawyer, and I think it's a good change. But the thing is, Bullock is actually on the payroll and is a corrupt cop. So that also kind of hit me hard a little bit too. So, but these are all my preconceptions that are being challenged. They're not objectively a problem.
I'm 1.5 episodes into this show so far. And
what do you think?
So the stiffness, I agree with. The aspect of that kind of, so I always felt like the original animated series was also a little bit stiffer, but that had to do with the animation of the time, right?
Right.
And you always wanted to see him move, like, I can't remember which one it is, but it's like one of the ones where the newer ones where Batman has a Robin, he comes down from a ceiling, there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat, and he's fighting the Court of Owl. It's probably called the Court of Owls now. I say that.
Yeah.
And like now I say that, I'm like, there's the answer. But like the smoothness and the hand-to-hand combat of the newer age animation, regardless of what we think of the story, is like, I always wanted a little more of that in the original animation. Now,
Yes.
that's just like a preference thing, right? But I mean, everything was slow back then. X-Men, everything, and so being more modern and still kind of keeping that slowness does kind of like sit a little the wrong way, but so I'm enjoying a part of it and then not sure about another part of it, and as you're talking, I started to think of what it is. What I'm most intrigued by is the villains and the world, which is a really good part for me. What I'm least intrigued by is Batman. I feel like he's not that strong of a character so far, an episode and a half in.
That
I am
changes.
seeing, okay, good, because I'm seeing some of his detecting, and I get they're setting up the world, but like I'm just not seeing enough of him yet to really to know. Now I'm looking forward to see more and what happens as I probably slowly watch this, because One Piece is really good right now.
I will say, if you give this series Tactix' 3-episode rule, you actually will like that will potentially, your perspective will change somewhat.
Yeah. I plan to give it the 3-episode rule. I'm not like giving up. I just like I didn't get through this episode before. Like I was taking a lunch break, had to get back to work, that kind of problem, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying it a bit. but not entirely enough. But I'm intrigued by the world building. I'm intrigued by the characters. I love the Batmobile, by the way, because that reminds me of the animated version, but very like 40s style, and I thought that was fantastic.
I love the 40s aspect. It actually, the fact that he has simple tools that fit within the time period actually really works, and also shows him like he doesn't have like the super epic gadgets. He actually has to work his way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping that I see more of it. Just see more of like right now in the first couple episodes, it's almost like it's just kind of implied, like, yeah, well, you know who Batman is, so we know what he can do.
Yes.
And then you see him, and you're like, okay, but he's not doing it as strong as he normally does because he's newer, right? And so, but they're just like letting that be implied and not really giving me enough evidence. And so I'm kind of like, okay. And there was like something that happened in one scene that in the second episode, I was like, what the hell was that? So it was the actor, the male actor, gets stabbed in the back with a knife, and she runs in,
right.
and the first thing she does is grab the phone and turn her back to the window, and the villain's standing on the window, and I'm just thinking like, you're a cop, and you don't think when you run in and see a dead body to survey the room. Yeah. You're just gonna like grab a phone and turn your back to the rest of the room. Like,
yeah, there are a couple of instances like that if kind
Batman
of
was
frustrate
out there on the thing, the guy could just come and kill you, easy. Yeah, because you're just not that smart, right? Like, so I was just kind of like, okay, that's just kind of dumb, but yeah, I'm intrigued overall, but I will say I'm probably not gonna finish it fast because trust me, right now, One Piece 974 was pretty goated, okay? And
974, look at you.
I had to sneak that in there because last episode podcast, I got to drop my number, you know.
So what would you give with the 1.5 episodes? What would you give it out of 10 so far?
Okay, let me think here.
I feel some sarcasm on its way.
Feeling like it's like a 7 right now for me. You know, it's intriguing, but it's missing something. I'm hoping it can pop up to a 7.5 to an 8 as I get further into it and see more Batman. But critically speaking,
there it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I was waiting for that.
I can't go higher than a 5. And if you need to know why, you're gonna have to take it up with the Umar rating system on the gray web, which doesn't exist.
So hearing all of this, T, are you interested to check the show out?
Not at all. Not at all. But I will, because it's Batman.
Yeah.
Just give it a 3-episode rule, man. Just give it the 3-episode rule.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
No, what will be interesting is because Umar hasn't finished it, what if you get to the end and there's like something really epic at the end that just makes like the whole season more valuable, and then all of a sudden he's like messaging you, watch it, you gotta get to the end.
I will say it does get stronger as it goes on, but the thing is that like it started to grip me more and more later on, but I think it was after the episode 3 for me personally.
Yeah. Okay.
This or the Superman show, that animated Superman show.
Oh, I'm gonna have to say Superman show for me personally. Like, because the thing is with, sorry,
by a landslide, like
it's difficult because the Superman show, it's a fresher take on Superman, but it honors everything great about Superman, and. But with this, it's like retelling, but like readjusting a lot of the characters. Now, some of them not in a bad way, others in a way that, like, as you as a fan, kind of makes you go, "What the fuck?" So, like, that's hard because with My Adventures of Superman, all across the board, I'm happy with it. Like, even like they made some massive changes to the Kryptonian stuff. I'm okay with it because it's still in line with what is like in essence of the story. This, you could go either way. So that's why it's kind of a hard thing to sell. I wouldn't say a landslide, but I would say for me personally, if I was going to choose between the two, I would tell you to watch the Superman one.
Interesting. Gotcha. Okay.
And
also, the animation is better.
And if you were to reassess that critically, would that be the same answer?
That was me speaking critically, Darcy.
Okay, so now you speaking non-critically.
I would say Superman because Batman it's hurting me.
There you go. Okay, sounds good. I'm starting to understand this rating scale.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so that's it. That's our show. Our final show after 4 years, 180 episodes, and multiple other reaction videos. Tactix gave me a really good question. I think I want to ask it to you guys. What has this podcast meant to you in its 4-year run? T, let's go with you first, man.
Oh gosh. Well, when we started this, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
This was right around the time of COVID, and the main intention for even starting the podcast was obviously during that time everyone was kind of like isolated into in their homes, and we weren't able to actually socialize amongst each other. And so, I remember we were doing a lot of those like Netflix parties as a form of like some
Social
form of
interaction.
connection. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because we went from like partying quite a bit on the weekends and like seeing each other on the regular to like now not being able to interact with each other outside of like the digital space, right? So, obviously during that time too, like not a lot of like movies were allowed to be filmed and TV shows and stuff. So we had a lot of time to catch up on like old content or the content that we hadn't gotten around to seeing. And yeah, we kind of just came up with the idea of like, hey, let's like just kind of start a podcast. And I remember we were still kind of finding our footing. We tried the Zoom thing. We tried I think we tried some other thing. Yeah, we were trying all kinds of different platforms, and then we finally stumbled upon StreamYard, and it kind of worked out in our favor and whatnot. And so, yeah, I mean, what this show represents and what it means is it allowed the three of us to kind of share a common interest, and that's a love for movies, a love for TV, a love for all things geek related. And I think that's part of the aspect of our friendship that has solidified this bond over the years, not just the 4 years, but in the years that we've all known each other and have become brothers. And this podcast kind of just amplified that to a different level. And just honestly, it was like one of the things that I was looking forward to a lot during the time. Just like, you'd have a stressful week, and then Friday you'd have like an hour. Well, I mean, it started off as like an hour, and then it eventually kind of gravitated into like a 2-hour show. But it was just a way of us solidifying that bond. And even after COVID ended and we were able to return back to our lives, it kind of continue to progress. And while this show is now coming to an end, obviously it's not going to be an end of our friendship by any means. And
No.
you know what I mean? And like it's
critically speaking though.
I knew that was coming.
I'm seeing you tomorrow. I'm saying this tomorrow.
Yeah, but the show has meant a lot to me in terms of just connecting with the two of you. You know what I mean? And hearing your perspectives, and I really admire your different takes on a lot of different things. And you guys personally have inspired me to, be a better presenter, be a better, be better at articulating and everything. And it's like, I was like, because you guys are always so expressive and articulate, and so it was like kind of like, I gotta step up my game to like be a part of the crew and everything. So I also use this platform as a way of like bettering myself as a speaker, and so I owe a lot of that to both of you guys. So I think that would be the biggest takeaway for me in regards to the question. And yeah, I'm gonna miss the show. Who knows what'll happen in the future? We're at 180. You never know. Maybe in a couple of years, we'll do a 360 and do another 180, right? So, but yeah, man, I love you guys. I love the fans. All 3.5 of you guys.
I was like, is he gonna like embellish it or what?
But yeah, man, the show is gonna be missed, and thank you guys for rocking with us. Thank you to my colleagues, my co-stars, co-hosts, for sharing in this space. And You guys are all going to be well. The fans are going to be missed. I'm going to see these motherfuckers tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Facts.
Darcy.
Well, I hate going in on some sentimentality because it's hard. But what it's meant to me. I mean, I first off gotta say a lot of the same things that Tactix had just said. You know, it was great to grow friendship, like our friendship in a like. I love Tactix says like articulate, and now I can't articulate nothing.
Now you straight, bro.
Because of emotion.
He set me up. No, but like it definitely helped us grow our friendship. Not that we wouldn't grow, but like it's because we're like on a regular basis. Like what people don't see in the podcast is like there's a pregame. There's like sometimes a post game, but usually like I'm hungry, we gotta go. But but there's a bit of a pregame, you know, and then that pregame, you know, we talk about stuff sometimes related to the podcast, but most of the time just related to like life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's been beneficial. And I just like, you know, I was saying tonight to like niece nephew, I was like, all right, you guys be quiet. It's the last podcast, you know, because like just down the hall, and I'm like 180 episodes, and the niece was like, that's a lot. And I'm like, I know. And it's like that's like a big number. I'm like, I know, and you know, it's just good to like, you know, I've done something to a big scale, and it was not like that was particularly hard because we were just kind of hanging out. Like this is stuff that we do, but it was just nice to have like a forum. But you know, like it's sad things have to come to an end. But like I was saying before, is like I wouldn't want this to be like, you know, season 8 of Game of Thrones, where it's like you're doing it to do it, not because it's good. And and so, you know, there's always has to be a point where like, you know, you know, go on a high note. And you know, also something Tax says like resonate with me is, even though like you said we've inspired you to be better orators, speakers, whatever, is that you know, like we all have a lot of like communication to do in our lives, and I find it beneficial. Like it helps you, me personally, to like I don't know, be more expressive on a regular basis, and to be comfortable with that. Like what you won't see is that I'm more similar to how I am on my podcast in like business meetings. Not entirely, because the topics are different, but very, very different. but being able to be more like just like joking around or quick and stuff like that, and so that's been beneficial. But yeah, I've enjoyed the doing this, and the audience, like Tactix says, all 5.5 of y'all, and yeah, it'll be missed. But I mean, I'm not making any plans for us, but I'm like, hey, we still watch movies together. Maybe we'll drop like an out of the theater reaction at some point, you know, like you know, like
100%.
stuff like that, you know, and just like let things happen, whatever. Just, you know, it's just the Friday commitment is, you know, life is changing, and so
life be lifing,
you know. Yeah. But it wasn't like we did 8 episodes; we did 180. So
yeah,
100. Yeah. So for me, I would say like I'm gonna echo a lot with you of what you guys said. Like for me, this has been this has meant a lot. We were already brothers beforehand, but we just got like even closer as brothers as a result. You guys have definitely Tactix. I always forget the quote you say always, like your boys should always be pushing you. Or something along those lines. Like they shouldn't ever let you.
They don't accept mediocrity.
Yes.
Boys, yeah.
Yeah. You guys never allowed. Like this was you guys like pushing me in the forefront, because like you guys encouraged me to come up with the agenda. You guys encouraged me to kind of like host, and kind of like it just like naturally in that way. And like I am not a public speaker. It's funny you should say that I articulate. I have found that you guys articulate significantly better than I do. I tend to trip over my words. I haven't gone back when I'm like doing the YouTube shorts and like looking at our older episodes. I definitely was tripping over my words. I couldn't even introduce myself. That's how like how much I got in my own way. And I'm also not a presenter inherently, but I am a conversationalist, and this allowed me to like flex my conversational capabilities. But also, I learned a lot of skills in terms of, like you say, Darcy, like the virtual aspect. And this definitely translated for me in interviews, me at work, me leading meetings, all that sort of stuff. Also me on the phone, like I'm now able to, like I used to be a nervous guy on the phone that like stuttered. Now I'm like confident talking to the person. I'm like, no, like you're going to give me my money back. When before I was like, well, if I guess it's okay if I don't get it back. It's cool.
That feels like a very specific thing you're rereferencing from recently.
Yeah, who hurt you?
Yeah. It's like cell phone company, but take a little extra to top.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. So, but at the same time, I've got to hang with you guys. I talk to you guys every week. I mean, I don't think our group chat is going to change. We're still going to be like sending each other all the memes, all the news, all the trailers and stuff. But like the prep for the show, the pregame stuff, all that stuff was, you guys were always in my life, just like family. Yeah. And that's not going to change. But this show kind of meant that I had a safe place, a light at the end of the tunnel. When I'm having a tough week, or when I'm having an argument with people, when I'm getting frustrations with like life in general, I came here and I could leave that all at the door, and I got to talk about stuff that I love with my bros that I love. So, and also I learned a lot of skills. I still want to learn some more. I will say that you guys have also inspired me to kind of like learn more technical stuff, which I am definitely needing to do. But I got to flex my muscles, get to learn some things, get to hang with my bros, and definitely. So, yeah, this has meant a lot to me. I'm sad to see it go, but at the same time, I'm happy it's going on a good note and a solid ending. Like we lucked out with SDCC and Deadpool because like otherwise this would have been like, do you remember when we were like scrapping the bottom of the barrel during the writer's strike? Can you imagine that was the end of our show?
100%, man.
Yeah, but I'm glad this gets to live on. I'm glad I get to go back and like rewatch some stuff, and thank you guys for pushing me and not letting me be mediocre.
Wow, man. Thank you, man. That was beautiful.
All right. Well, for the last time, I'm going to volley it back to you, T.
All right. Well, this has been another edition, as well as the final edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, y'all, and we'll see you when we see you.
And before we leave, normally it is tradition that we would cut to Umar. But for today, because it is the last show, I'm going to end it by saying a quote. If you got to go with a smile. Psych!